What up, guys? Welcome to Barbell Brigade. I'm Bart.
I'm Charlie.
I'm Lou.
Solid Mike.
How do you guys build confidence to achieve a lift? So I know there's a lot of people out there that train, and they're training like 4 sets of 8 or something, and then they're really comfortable with their working weight, but then when it comes time to hitting those PRs or hitting those heavy singles, a lot of people doubt themselves. How do you guys build confidence behind that?
I feel like people don't really focus on the mental aspect that a lot of these sports, really need. I feel like people don't practice that, and it's super, super important. Being strong is one thing, but having the confidence to do it is another. Because I feel like I know plenty of people, and I'm sure you guys probably know a lot of good athletes that have so much potential and have so much capability, but when it comes to game time or something, like they'll tend to choke, or they tend to not believe in themselves. You know?
Basketball we call it like practice players or gamers. Yeah. Like you could look like shit in practice, even if you're trying hard, but then game time shows up and you get up, you can do whatever it takes. I think lifting, like philosophical or whatever, like mine is experience. Like experience gives me the confidence to hit that weight. And then on the more applicable, I guess, I don't even know if those are the right categories, but the more applicable is that I visualize. I use visualization since high school. I had a really good high school basketball coach, and so he kind of would talk at the end of practice on how to visualize, literally teaching us how. And so then now, I have a big lift, or I hit a decent deadlift a couple of weeks ago where you guys were hanging out.
That was awesome.
That whole week, I had in my head that like, well, whatever's on that bar, I don't know how many reds and how many greens or whatever, just going through step by step exactly how it's going to feel, how I'm going to chalk up, how many people are going to be in the stands, what music's going to be playing through my ears, and literally live that moment hundreds of times in my head. So then when I guess really live that moment, this is getting to be some Matrix shit. When you really live that moment, I've already done it.
Let me ask you something though really quick, because that day I remember you having some doubts. What did you do to kind of like...
Because you're going for a 650 and you end up
you
going 705.
Yeah, you remember that? He didn't even think he was going to pull over 650 or something like that.
I wouldn't say doubts, but I would lower expectation on the outside, maybe playing a little bit of a game with myself or you guys, to be 100% honest. I wouldn't say I had doubts, but there was definitely an unknown there because I had hurt my back about 2 months prior to that. But when I benched 405 a couple weeks before that, there was zero unknown and zero doubt. I told everybody, like, I'm benching 405 at 2 o'clock on Wednesday if you want to come. Yeah. Like, that's just what's going to happen. So this one was a little different for me. Yeah. So I was maybe playing games with myself and, my friends, because I didn't want to like, bro, I'm going to pull 705. Yeah. And then you'll be like, oh, no. And then like, miss it. And then everybody gets sad,
Shakes.
Yeah. But in my head, I had definitely, whatever was going to be on the bar, I was going to pull through that visualization. Sometimes it's an exact number when I'm going into a meet or a basketball game and I've studied tape and I know exactly who I'm playing against. I visualize his fucking body and how he's going to feel when he's hitting me or guarding me or whatever. That case, I guess, was a little different. But I still knew that I was going to pull whatever the fuck was on the bar.
What about you, Charlie?
I really like this because this is what I deal with like all the time with people, and it's kind of funny because I'm in the process of writing a book right now. And it's one of the things that I kind of talk about. So not to be like philosophical or like Tony Robbins or anything, but I think that ultimately if we understand like our why, right? Like understand why I'm doing something, it's easier for me to have the appreciation towards what I'm gonna do. And so for me, what I look at for the mental side of lifting is that if you kind of know why, right? Like if I want to go to nationals and I need to hit certain numbers, I know I need to go clean that bar because I want to be successful on that stage, so I need to hit that weight and I'm committed to doing it. Now, even if I have all those things going on, one of the things that I'm talking about in the book that I'm writing is basically telling people this. It says that fear ultimately is the unknown. That's all fear is. Like it's of the unknown. You don't know what it is, right? And that's why we're afraid of it, right? It's because that's what's happening. Will I make it? Will I miss it? I don't know. And so I won't be too long-winded, but basically my whole thing is with adapting fear to the understanding that within that moment, if you can realize and understand that the only thing that you don't have control over is a variable, the only thing you can control is your attitude towards it. So I really think it's this easy. Be positive or be negative. If I walk over to this bar, maybe I've said this before on another show, but like if I walk over to this bar and I'm like, I don't know, but I gotta do it, probably gonna get hurt or probably gonna miss. But if it's like, man, I don't know, but you know what? Like, I'm going for it. And you commit and you have that positive mentality, make or miss, you went into it the most prepared that you could be with the best mental perception of seeing yourself be successful, like whether it's through visualization or whatever it is, but removing that that veil or that identity of what is you're fearing, your perception of like what could go wrong, and saying like, screw that, I'm over that I can make or miss this, regardless if I'm gonna make or miss it, like I'm going for it. And I think that commitment, right, like that just going for it, that's what's gonna allow you to be successful and being committed to that lift.
Do you think you can teach some of this stuff, or do you think it's genetic? Like talking about gamers. I think gamers are sometimes genetic.
Gamers are genetic,
gamers
but
like game day.
Yeah,
Like game day lifters or gym lifters?
Like crowd in front of you, pressures on the line,
Yeah.
you show up.
Absolutely.
You think
bro.
it's genetic?
No, I think it's training.
Oh, you think you teach it?
Absolutely. I just don't think that people practice it and they don't consider it as like an important
The Russians did.
variable in training.
The Russians in like weightlifting and stuff would bring an audience into like their max out days before meets just to get their lifters used to a exact thing.
I mean, that might have been a little bit deep what I was saying, but like my whole thing too is like, I think people could be taught anything. Can you demonstrate that as well as I can, or you can, or you can, or you can? No, we're all individually different.
But they can improve.
But you can improve from where you're at. And I think that's like a really positive thing to think about, right?
Of course. That's kind of like lifting. Like not all of us are gonna, well, none of us are gonna break world records, and we all know that.
Yeah.
Right? But we can all
on pull-ups.
You're pretty good.
Yeah. But we could all hit PRs.
And we can all get better.
We can all
Yeah,
get
I
better.
agree.
But to answer your question, like you have to know why you're wanting to do something, and then you have to be committed to doing it. I always tell my lifters, like, if you're going up to a bar and you question anything, do not lift it. Like, I only want you walking up to that bar if you're going to lift it. And if they never lift that bar, then obviously the desire to lift it was never strong enough. So they're their own prisoner.
Yeah.
Like a mental prisoner, you know?
One thing I always like to view it is, I feel like I was already born to hit this weight. So I was born to bench 405. But I'm kind of like a rough diamond. So it's up to me with all the practice and training, can I polish this diamond to reveal what I was born to do?
Yeah.
So I feel like we all have this potential to hit weight. And then most people, they're not trying to strive to hit like some world record weight. Like most people don't go training at a global gym and go, I'm gonna squat 800 one day. A lot of people are just like, I just wanna squat 315 one day. Yeah. And I think everyone can do that. And it's just up to you about all the practice that you put in and memorizing all those cues and be a very diligent worker. And then on game day, you just gotta trust in the system and then perform
Trust
the best
Trust in yourself.
Trust and confidence.
Yeah.
That's big.
Dude, that's so important. You guys fired me up, man.
We should do a trust fall. Get on the table and I'll catch you.
Dudes.
Things about to get sexual in here.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Come here, big boy.
Do you guys think training makes you a better